that wants. Oh,
Sorry about that. Had to start that recording real fast. Wanted to find a break for it in case anybody needs to catch it after the fact. So
thank you.
continue.
Thank you. And does anybody else have another one that they just wanted to give a shout out to their awesome system that they have? And again, I can only see a few of the things, so just pop off mute and be happy to share with us. Crickets. All right.
Well, I can share.
Well,
So, I mean, if nobody's going to talk, I'll share something because
oh, Adam, thank you.
we use SAP Litmus at Athene, and I can drop a link also in the chat there for everybody. And switched to it about a year ago. And for the most part, I'd say we're like 80-20 in things that are really great versus things that are not so great. And the things that we really love about Litmus, number one, is their content library that you can purchase is one of the best. I mean, we have over 900 courses right now in our LMS that we have been able to or that have been really applicable in getting people to go self-enroll. We ran into problems with our old LMS where people would only go there if they had a course that got pushed to them and they were required to do. Now we have people that are out there that are self-enrolling in courses. We're able to package groups of courses together a lot more easily to create learning paths. And we're using those all across the organization. So if somebody wants to be better at coaching, we've got a package of courses that they can take related to coaching skills that are all very small. I mean, they're 10, 15-minute max courses that are packaged together in this learning path. The reporting is very robust, very customizable within SAP Litmus. We have a lot of flexibility, similar to what Ben was saying, with how we set it up in the widgets that we use, along with custom HTML banners and things like that we can build. And so I would advocate, it's a very, very great LMS. We looked at Docebo, we looked at Cornerstone, and from an affordability and feature standpoint, I think that's ultimately how we landed on SAP Litmus, is it wasn't crazy expensive and it did most of the things that we wanted it to do.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think that there's probably enough about this topic that people want to share and want to talk about that we may be able to do another off meeting or something like that, or maybe another tech SIG in early 2017. Oh my gosh, I'm going back in time. 2022, that we can talk about LMSs again. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Other than that, I think it's time to start our fabulous presentation here this morning. So I'm going to share my screen and stop my video. So sorry, stop my video. So talking about our LMSs this morning, we have, oh, I guess I need to hit share screen. There we go. We have different presenters this morning for our presentation, and just a little bit of business to take care of first. Okay, come on, slide. You know you want to go. There we go. So I think you all know what our tech SIGs are about. We do these once a month, typically the first Friday morning of the month, because we like to get together and talk about different ideas, solutions, problems that we have. So feel free to join us every month. Keep an eye out on the website, on Facebook, on Instagram. Everything is getting sent out that we are having these fabulous tech SIGs. We've got some pretty exciting things coming up. We have our own esteemed Dan Top that is going to present about some virtual ideas and sharing that he has starting, and that'll be July 9th. So not the holiday weekend, but the weekend after. We have some other things coming up with our local, Brian Smith is going to present in August. And then we have some esteemed guests that are going to join us, including Jake Blanchard and Megan Torrance, that both present nationally on what they're talking about. So these are some pretty exciting things to have with podcasting. And then in October is Agile Learning. So we'll do another show and tell. So that might be some more exciting things about LMSs, maybe in November about show and tell, or maybe some other neat things that you're working on. And then we've got another meeting. We think we're going to do a meeting in December because we've had such great feedback and we've had such great presenters and folks coming in to talk to us So we may do another one in December, which we typically don't do. So kudos to everybody for attending, and thank you to everyone for continually attending our events. And then, of course, we have Professional Development Day on the 17th of September. It is going to be live. They did the request for proposals, and if you really would like to speak at Professional Development Day on the 17th, be sure to get that submission in by June 11th is the last day for that. And now I would like to ask Heather, sorry, to stop my sharing my screen. And Heather Penningrath from Casey's has agreed to discuss her LMS, which I saw a couple of other ones pass through for Absorb. So Heather, I know you're on.
I'm right here.
Awesome. It is all you, my dear. You are ready to go. So Heather Penningrath from Casey's discussing her fabulous LMS Absorb.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Yep, I'm from Casey's, and it's, if for those, I don't know if we have any from out of Iowa, but if you're not familiar with Casey's, we're a convenience store. We have about 2,300 stores in 16 states, soon to be 17. We're adding another group down in Texas. So, and we're famous for our homemade pizza to go. My favorites, of course, are the taco pizza and the breakfast pizza. And we just recently launched our own Casey's brand this last year. So, and we use Absorb, and we've had it for the last 3.5 years. It's based in Calgary, and we actually had the opportunity to go up and visit them in Calgary and go to the Calgary Stampede a couple years ago. We currently have about, oh, sorry for my dogs. We have almost 41,000 users when I checked yesterday. And those are the active users. We also have inactive users that are stored for a number of years for anything legal that's needed. And how we use the LMS, and I promise I'm going to share my screen here very soon. How we use the LMS is we sign on using single sign-on. We have the opportunity to build our own courses and bring them in. We also partner with Open Sesame, where we can round out our curriculum and other third-party vendors. We have a documentation area. We have a technical writing team that maintains policies and recipes and system instructions in there, in the resources area. And that, of course, can, just like the courses can be, we can limit who can view all of the documents and the courses based on roles or locations or groups or department. And then we also have instructor-led training, where you can build sessions and users can sign up for the sessions based on date or instructors or locations. And then instructors have the option to, you know, push out materials, mark attendance, and they have a wait list. And they can set the maximum and minimum class size limits. We have the reporting is, well, I'll get into the reporting and what I'm showing. And then as far as learning objects that we can pull in, we build courses in Tin Can, but they also have the option for SCORM 1.2, SCORM 2004, and AICC. And then as far as build-ins that you build in Absorb, you can build out tasks, assessments, and surveys, and all of those can be reported on. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the system now. Screen 2. All right, can everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Okay, so at the top we have the billboard, and this can be a video, this can be, you can add links in there where it brings you to a document or to a certain area and absorb. And then our main area here is our courses. This is everything that's assigned to the user. The catalog, these are courses that are available but not assigned to you specifically. Here's the technical writing area with the resources. Resume your previous course that you were in. Latest news. This is very similar to the billboard area where you can add links and images in there. The one part about this that we don't love is we can't check to see how many people have viewed this. So that's one thing I would add as a feature. The schedule, this was just a button that we added in there, so you can create your own and add that in there. Let me make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to move my, there we go. And then we have a frequently asked questions area for the LMS specifically, and this was built in. We just had to add the questions and answers. Down below, we added a couple ribbons just because to make it more in your face as far as the mandatory courses. This is what I am currently assigned, and the featured courses, I don't necessarily have to be enrolled in these courses. It's just the feature for the current time period. And then on the admin side. Okay, so for the general user, you're not going to have the admin or any of that, but you have the option to change your profile and your transcripts or view your transcripts in there. We do have the option to build different templates based on like sales, or if we wanted a certain view for the distribution center versus the store operations. We could build that out. We have not yet. We all have this current view, but we do have that option to build that out. On the admin side, I'm just going to go to the main view here. Okay, so as far as a dashboard, it does give you a little bit, but you can't drill down. It's not quite what we're looking for. And like I mentioned in one of the breakout areas, our BI area at Casey's used the API at Absorb to build the dashboard that we actually wanted. So we do have the information that we want. It just isn't housed here in Absorb. And then they do have a new admin refresh that makes this a little bit more customizable. We have not moved over to that yet, but just because there's one feature we're waiting for them to develop out in their new admin refresh release before we can move over. So we are on a little bit older version.
Heather, we had a question come in the chat for you. Can you drill down in the dashboard to gather more specific information?
Not very much, no. If I go into it, it actually brings me into the course build, the shell that you build the course in. As far as the completion, let me go over here.
Heather,
I guess
oh, sorry. I was going to say, well, that's loading. I had a question, but go ahead.
Oh, God. It really doesn't let you drill down much. Usually, if it does it all, it's just one level. But go ahead with your question. I don't have that much to show.
Oh, you said that you were with building it. Are you using your LMS as an authoring tool as well? Is there that capability within it?
There is. We have not taken advantage of that because we build in Articulate, or we use, Camtasia or Beyond to build videos and put those into the shell. So.
Okay, and then we had another question come in. Are store leaders or managers given specific time to complete the courses, and how do you handle mandatory training?
What's the first question again?
Are your leaders and managers given specific time to complete these courses?
Yes. Yep. And so here I can just go into so when I'm building a course, this is just, the general description, but so I would load the course in here, and as far as objects that you can load into a course, here are the options.
Okay.
So task is you build it in Absorb, same with assessment and survey, but you do have the option, to link out to outside sources.
Okay.
And then as far as due dates, so here is making a course available to a user, and here is assigning it to a user. And if you assign it to a user, you can mark it as mandatory or featured, so it shows in those two little ribbons at the bottom of the home screen that I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have the option to add a due date.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Was there any other features that you wanted to point out, or does anyone have any other questions?
I can show.
I have a question for you. This is Jim. How hard is it to build a learning path within that, within Absorb, to assign it to, let's say, a whole leg of a manager, or is it, or because I'm thinking, for instance, in Saba, we have some challenges in being able to set up who's going to take the course. So we have to go manager by manager versus going all the way, taking the top manager and letting it go all the way down through the chain. So how hard is it there to do?
That's actually pretty easy. So if I'm just grabbing. So if I want to assign it to, we have groups spelled out. And so if I want to assign it to all store managers, I would pick, there it is, all store managers, and then that would just go specifically to them. But if I want to go by department, you can add the sub-departments.
Okay, so you can't you can't just assign it to a store manager and all their team members by just selecting.
If I do that, I can if I wanted to do that for our stores, I would choose location, and then I would just add the number, and then if they have that location in their profile, they would be assigned that course.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I will stop my share.
And you can continue to ask Heather questions in the chat if you would like, because we are going to move on to our next presenter, who is Erin Gibson, who's with Ames Labs. And Erin is going to look at, oh my gosh, Erin, I didn't write down what the name of it is.
That's okay. So we use Max IT. I even have to look it up because we renamed it. Max IT Ability LMS. Don't look it up. Just know not to do it. But we'll go through it first. It's like I saw Dan like making notes. I'm like, just no. So Ames Laboratory is a national science lab with the Department of Energy, and it's operated by Iowa State University. A lot of our employees are also ISU faculty, and we're physically located on the campus. Ames Lab has over 500 employees, but if I look up my number of unique users in a calendar year, it's more over 700, because we have a lot of interns, visiting scientists, people that just work on a research project for like less than a year. So I have a lot of kind of like burn and churn of putting new people into the system. My target audience is anywhere from scientists to facilities and engineering staff to kind of more your typical office worker like myself when it's IT, finance, HR, things of that nature. Most of our employees go into the system like the first month that they're hired, because we have the rule that you have to get your mandatory compliance and safety training done within 30 days or before you work with a hazard. Because I do have people working in research labs that are using like hydrofluoric acid and lasers and x-rays and different things like that. So it's not an office environment or just compliance training. But then they typically don't go into the system until something is required. And so we don't have a lot of people going in there. As an Ames Lab employee, you're also an Iowa State employee. And so you do get those benefits, and we have LinkedIn Learning, but it's not linked to our LMS. It's completely separate. When I contacted Max IT, they're like, well, if you have a specific class in LinkedIn Learning, we can try to get that one class in. I'm like, well, I kind of want the whole library there. So that's one thing for me. So for an end user, so like Iowa State, we use Okta for single sign-on. And so I do try to tell people of like, okay, you can go to Learn ISU, which is what we renamed Max IT, or you have your LinkedIn Learning. Somebody noticed that we had Saba too, and we use it just for performance management. So it's like completely separate. We don't use it for our LMS. What I did want to point out for anybody who has like an Iowa State student or something, like we don't use this LMS I'm about to share for students taking college classes. So please still send your students to ISU. They get to use Canvas, which is really nice, but they're not using Learn ISU. So Learn ISU, this is your homepage. This is what it looks like. So I point this out because we've been using this, or Iowa State's Environmental Safety and Health, they've been using this since 2012. Entire community of ISU started using it in 2015. And here's why it's probably selected. We only pay $8,000 a year for every single person at Iowa State. So that's your student employees, your faculty, your staff, and everybody. And knowing the numbers that were tossed out earlier, that's a lot less than like what you pay for Docebo or Ability or Cornerstone, but it's because it's a very, very simple LMS. Curious from an end user's standpoint, if this was your home page, do you know what's due or required to take? Do you know how
in the chat, guys?
Yeah.
Because she asked me this question too. So while they're doing that, Erin, we had a question about LinkedIn Learning and the LMS being linked.
Yep.
So and
it's not yet. Because I wanted that. I used to use Cornerstone at another employer, and you could have these third-party content just put right into your LMS. So instead of me having to navigate to LinkedIn Learning, which I tell employees to go through our Okta single sign-on, so that, you know, I say don't Google it, because otherwise LinkedIn Learning is going to tell you to make a profile and like pay an annual fee. They just go through here. So it's like having two separate LMSs. Sorry, I can't. The menu blocks off from me clicking. So what I have to tell the end user, because I can't see the chat, I apologize. is that you go to my menu and you go to my requirements to see what's required. And I'll click on my own. And everybody knows as an admin, your own account is probably like super crazy. But there's this little thing that says required and it's no, yes. And actually, when I started in this job 2 years ago, this column did not, it wasn't visible. I had to ask to add that because people didn't know if it was really required or not. Also, like if you go here and you're like, well, what does doing work at the lab actually mean? You can't click on the course to like see the course description. You can only see it if you go to the course catalog, look up the name of the course, or scroll to it. I have about over like 90 courses and stuff. And then you can find the information about the course on here. So not as user friendly. The way I don't have like what we just saw from Casey's, I don't have a way to promote like new upcoming courses. So for example, I have first aid and CPR courses that we're offering. I would love for that to be a banner and tell people that it's new or upcoming. For Instructor-Led, they can go to schedule and see a typical calendar and go to and from. So it can do Instructor-Led classes. You can upload, SCORM, Tin Can. Unfortunately, I find it incredibly user-friendly to do that. I can't just publish my stuff in Articulate and like upload a file. There's this really complicated process to do it. And so what we've been doing is publishing as web when you go to Articulate like 360. And so I have no analytics. I have no ways of like making sure somebody gets through like the whole course. And just because when I was with Cornerstone, I mean, you publish the file and you upload the file and that's all you had to do. And it was easy, but I can't do it for this one. A big thing, and I know people were talking about before, I think Adam, you shared of, you can put like a whole learning track together. So I have a learning track for supervisors that has several courses on it, but a person can't search and enroll for like a learning track or a package of courses. They can only search and take one course at a time. So that's definitely something that I would look at, that if people are trying to, learn a whole skill set and it has various micro learnings, make sure a person can enroll and take that and not just have to do one piece by one piece. Let's see, schedule requirements. For me, for reporting, because people have asked about that. Thankfully, I taught Excel in my past, so Excel is my friend and I like it. And so one thing about reporting is that it maxes out at 5,000 line items. I think somebody else was talking about, oh, it's just Excel and all these lines. Well, I have so many employees or so many training that's assigned, I actually have to run 2 separate reports just so my report doesn't max out. And then I put it together, and I can't do a dashboard in this LMS. I miss that. That's what Cornerstone had as well. And so because the time constraints, it takes me, say, about 2 hours to run a report, clean it up, put my Excel sheet together that I send to supervisors where they can click on their name and see their employees and what's overdue, and make a metric page on ServiceNow. It takes me about 2 hours. So I do that every month. I won't do it more often because of the time commitment. So that is where I am. And I think I was going to show you just how we like add a new course. Are there any questions that have come in? So add course, I mean, you can pick different things. And so we've just been using generic online training most of the time. And then you put in all your information. This is what I'm curious about, different courses of like, what are the fields that your end user is going to see? Do they get to see all the information you want them to? Like duration, how many times do people ask you, well, how long is the course? I only have so much time. So because this isn't ideal, one thing that I have been working on, and Iowa State knows that it's not ideal too. This was going to be a temporary thing. You know, we used what the safety office was using. Is they are actually working now that COVID is a little bit more handled, is looking at the needs and wants of kind of the immediate users. And so I actually got an RFP template from Bridge LMS. I don't know if anybody's ever asked LMS providers, but I'm just like, okay, you guys get, you know, requests for proposals all the time. Do you have a template that I can use? And they had a very detailed template, and it kind of helped me think of things that I maybe not would have. And so I modified it of, you know, what do I really need versus what would be really nice to have. And I'm providing this to the powers that be at Iowa State of, hey, if you're going to go out and shop for a new LMS, here are the things that I really need to function versus here are the things that could maybe help with employees going in there more than just taking mandatory training. So, but
Are you willing to share that with others that may be shopping for an LMS?
yeah, I can. And I can probably find the original one that Bridge gave me too. But if anybody else is shopping, you know, when you have those little demos, go ahead and ask that person that's showing you all the good stuff, like all the whiz bangs, like, oh, it's so pretty. Ask them, hey, you know, we're going to be doing RFPs soon, request for proposals. Do you happen to have a template that I could use? And Bridge was like, oh yeah, there you go. And I need to probably do that with other LMS providers and just contrast and compare.
And Dan put a tip in the chat too of watch for any bias from those vendors
yes,
as well.
yes, especially because it's just like, do you have this? And I'm like, well, I know you have that because you showed it into my demo, but what you don't have is something else that's a pain point for me now, and you didn't cover that. And so, yes, Dan, totally agree. Totally agree.
Funny how they skip over those things, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why I would kind of like almost getting a lot of these templates from multiple providers if they have them, and do that contrast, compare, and put stuff together. So like for me, I'm like, what do I need as an admin? Reporting, customer service. Some people were sharing about that. Like, what does the support that I get? Because I'm one of those people that I'm a department of one. And so like I feel like I'm kind of tech savvy, but I can't do coding and stuff. So I need that support. Training implementation, because I helped implement Cornerstone at my last company, and it is a lot of work. I mean, it is a year-long endeavor to switch over to a new LMS. And so making sure you have that support, and then just technology, making sure that it can work with your current systems. So, yep, I can share that.
Awesome, thank you. I don't know if you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to send it to me or Adam, and we can get it out to anybody that may be looking at it as well.
I will try to find the forms, and I'll try to put it in chat.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, and I'm going to apologize because I'm the last one to go here, and my neighbors are having landscaping done, and there's a lot of background noise, so I apologize if anybody can hear that. Thank you, Erin. I appreciate it. Appreciate you sharing. And thank you, Heather. I will share my screen here. And at Ariane, we have Saba, which is now Cornerstone, which I affectionately refer to as Corner Saba Stone, because that is how we I don't know, they're still together. They're together, but they're separate. And it's just kind of been interesting. So hang on. Do you see my LMS screen? Because it didn't.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So we at Ariana are a company of approximately 500 people, give or take, on any certain day. We have had this LMS since 2017. I have learned way more than I ever imagined that I would learn about running an LMS and being the admin. I am the primary admin we are a team of 3 people, and the other 2 know enough to complete a class for somebody if they need to, if something happens. But other than that, all the reporting, all the design of the front page, all of the tracking, everything, that's me. In addition, of course, to the 500 other things that I do. So this is my admin page. So I like how Erin said, our pages have a lot on them, and sometimes they're a little bit weird in how they look because we have so much. But this is my admin page, so this can show both views of it. It does mirror what our production site is. I do have a sandbox that I can play in, and actually have been spending some time in there recently with trying to do some other content.
Hey, Melissa, real quick, is that custom banner you guys have dynamic? Can they click on it, or is it just a static image? Oh, sweet.
It is dynamic. And I used free tools to create that. That's a image mapping that then I put the image in. So I actually have to go change this because we have some required training coming up. So we change the banner and put whenever we have our annual required training, so people get in there and they see, hey, you have to do this. This is coming up. It's been assigned to you. So
You're making click on those like project management, DNI, or
Yep.
no? Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Let's see if it'll work today. Sometimes in the admin view, it doesn't work. So, but yes, they do. And it goes to a catalog, like this project management one goes to a catalog where it has all my agile classes together. It has my PMP boot camp classes, my PMP study courses. Diversity inclusion has all the different courses that we have available. We actually have content from Skillsoft, which is also Percipio. Percipio is their online component. So I have over 3,000 classes from Percipio. And then we have about 200 classes that are homegrown, ones that I have done. So we have different things available with that. We can do SCORM. I just got SCORM 2004 added, which was good since we were getting some other courses from a vendor that's all they had. But we can do AICC. I have also done some of my Movely videos that I just upload as videos, and that is the course. But as far as what people see in here, this is our homepage. You can see down at the bottom, there's completed learning, my learning. So this is what I still have to take. This is what I have completed. There's a discovery portlet, they call it down here, where there's some new courses, and these can all be customized, sort of. You can make them so they look a little bit different, where maybe it's only 1 column wide. There's actually 4 columns across the screen. And so you can move those around and change them however you like. A lot of people put this Discover portlet up at the top. You can also have meeting portlet added in there. So if you use the meeting component that's within this, Saba does have that meeting where it functions very similarly to Adobe Connect. So you can have the meet or Zoom or whatever. You can use that. Before our company decided to use Teams, when we all went home, we were going to use the meeting component of this to meet with people, but with Teams being part of the package we had, we ended up using that. But with the learner side of things, people can go in and they can search up here for any type of course that they want to take. They can sign up for the course this way. Managers can assign courses. We do have prescriptive rules set up that as the admin, I can assign courses to people within groups, or I know Heather had within like a store number. So because all of our people have locations, if I wanted to assign them by manager name or by group within a location, I can do that as well. So we have with our contact centers, they have a separate curriculum than our home office does, or any of our people that are in other locations that are considered home office locations. So we have offices in Omaha, Kansas City, and Minneapolis. And then we have a lot of people that are remote in the Clear Lake area, Mason City, Davenport, Iowa City. So just by those locations, I can assign courses to them if they're specific, or for any of our contact centers, I can assign them as well. So you can go in here and search classes that way. We also have these categories are set up. So we use Microsoft 365. So I have these courses set up if they want to see just the Word courses in Microsoft or just the Excel courses in Microsoft. They can click on any of these and then it shows only those courses. So they don't have to search through the 2016, the 2010, the 2013s, all of those within here. So those were catalogs that I set up because we didn't have the content coming from the vendor. They have another load that's called channels. And so then it groups them together very similarly. And our new rep said, hey, you guys should be using channels. And we said, gosh, how do we do that? And they said, I can't believe you haven't been already using them. So there is a Microsoft channel that's available to us. It does take the user out to the Precipio website and tracks the courses that way, but we will still get the completions here. So when it comes to doing our analytics, we can do the analytics piece of it as well. So the homepage you already saw. If I go to me page, my me page, there's a lot of things within Saba Cornerstone, whatever you want to call it, that we don't use. Some of that is the impressions where you can give people badges for doing a good job. We're also not using workspaces, groups, or any of the performance management side of it. Which you can use. We do have access to it. We just don't have that turned on that we can use right now. I've done considerable amount of testing within that, and I do like how it works. But these are some of the things that are listed over here. Not everyone has access to. Managers do have access for analytics to pull their own reports, but 4 years ago when we started this, they said, hey, if you need some reporting, just contact Melissa, she'll pull the report for you. So we still have, there isn't anyone that actually pulls their own reports, but we have a couple that are set up to run every Friday for new hire curriculum and things like that. So I really, very rarely do I have to run a report for anyone. It just gets crazy when we start doing our required trainings that we have to do. So, because people want to know who's done it and who hasn't. But these boxes up here for learning and certifications, you can see how many I've completed, how many are in progress. People can add learning, add completed courses. So that's the me page. For managers, anybody that has direct reports, they can see any of their team. You like all my team names on here. So I use these a lot for testing when I'm doing things in production. So, but you can see that person's page. You can see, oh gosh, they have an overdue class, and that gives them the exclamation point that tells them they do. So managers have been using this more and more. We've done some manager training with it, so they are aware that that is there. As far as the admin side, oh my gosh, there's so much that you can do in here. It's amazing. You can add skills for tracking skills. You can associate those skills with classes. So if you're working on an upskilling project for somebody that you want the classes, if they take these 3 classes, that gives them the next level up in whatever it is that they're trying to do. You can set all of that up in here. I have some of it set up. That's a working project for me right now. You can set classes to be assigned at a certain date at a certain time. I have rules that assign the new hire curriculum to anyone once they've been entered in our HRIS system. We currently have Prism, and that through API updates every night. So whenever we have a new person that gets put into that system as a new hire, then they are automatically loaded into the system, into SABA, for us to be able to, then that rule goes and assigns them the new hire curriculum. And let's see, what else do I have on my notes here? Oh, support. I know that that is a big topic. And that was one of the things that Aaron and I talked about. So SABA has an interesting support group. We support group kind of like, I'm going to refrain from saying what I was just going to say. Sorry. We have the community page that they have actually just refreshed, and there's a lot of information that's in there. Unfortunately, a lot of the information goes back to umpteen releases ago, so 2012, 2014, so it's not applicable information. But they just started on that page something that's called Communities of Practice, where they have experts. And with those experts, you can type a message and say, hey, I need help doing this. What do you know? And so it's going out to the experts that are users versus going to the help desk. So when you have to file a ticket for the help desk, since the merger has happened with Cornerstone, there's been a lot of, oh, look at this link on the community page, and it may not be accurate. Or they don't know the system as a user well enough to be able to really dig into it and give you an answer. So that has become kind of a frustration point, I think, for a lot of people. And so on the community page, they started this communities of practice piece that you can ask other users. And twice in the last 3 weeks, I have had tickets that have been 2 weeks or longer that I've had the tickets, and the vendor can't solve it. So I've asked the question in the communities of practice, and both times within 5 minutes, I've had my question answered and my issue's been fixed. So it's definitely interesting. But they do have that set up now, which has been fantastic to use, obviously for me anyway. And the tickets, when you do have to file a ticket, if it's something that's technical, maybe there's an issue like with the API load or something like that, they're usually pretty good at answering those questions and getting those kinds of things corrected and taken care of. It's when you're having the, how do I do this? Or I'm trying to do this and it's not working like I think it should. What am I missing? What box am I not checking? What is false instead of true? So some of those things within the system side, that community has been very, very helpful, just even recently, to get some of those questions answered. What questions do you guys have? I know a lot of people are shopping, and I know that this comes up a lot. This is SABA Cloud versus what Cornerstone is. I know a couple people that are on here have the true Cornerstone side. Any questions in the chat, or did I just talk too much?
Not seeing anything, just some kind of general conversation about how people are using their LMS, but no
Okay.
questions I'm seeing specifically for you, Melissa.
Okay, well, and we did start kind of an Iowa user group. So I know Jennifer and Jim are both a part of that. And we've talked before, and we started our little user group actually with EMC 3.5 years ago. So e-commerce, yes. If you're Jeremy, if you're asking about SABA with e-commerce, yes, there is a piece of that. It's through the marketplace. I don't actually, oh, there's the e-commerce that's here for your orders and whatnot. We don't actually use this, but yes, you can do that. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. With the marketplace, you can also get LinkedIn Learning, you can get lynda.com, you can get Udemy, all of those courses. You can buy those connectors to get that additional courseware. I know it's not cheap to do that. When we were looking for the Percipio one, we got our Percipio classes before they had the connector, and they wanted us to purchase the connector, and it was $10,000 just for the connector to be able to get access to those classes. But if you do that, then there's something like 12,000 classes that you can have access to with all the different areas that they have. And we just have some specific technology ones and leadership ones that we use. So there is the option to do those things. And the reporting is, and for analytics in this, I know somebody mentioned Google. We do have Google Analytics that you can hook up to this as well to get the real time. I actually just attended they do these meetings about twice a month of different skills, and they have people share kind of like we're doing with this of how to use things. And that was one of them, was Google Analytics. Not using it and not being an analytical person like that, I listened and was in awe because it went way over my head, but it was good information. Good information to have.
Erin Gibson had a quick question she wanted to throw out to the groups. Go for it, Erin.
All right. I was trying to give it to you. So I just thought the opportunity of an audience that is here before everybody runs away to their next meeting is volunteers for version 2.0 of this presentation. I know I heard of several people using Docebo, Cornerstone, Litmus, Learn Upon, and just like a quick, almost like a show and tell, but like what we did today of some of those, because there seems to be a lot of people shopping. And I would just be curious to see not the vendor presenting to me is an actual user, and any frustrations are good points. But I don't know, raise a hands or if anybody would be up for it. I would appreciate it. I'm selfish. I like learning.
I think that's a great idea. And I know that Adam was going to show his, but with timing, that just didn't quite work out this morning. So I would like a version 2.0 as well. And just to see who has what. So if anybody does have that and they don't want to put it in the chat now, just reach out to Adam or to me, rich@athene.com or Melissa.
Just give mine. Yeah. Okay. You're giving them yours too. Good. Okay. Cool.
Melissa.nichols@arion.com, and I'll spell it since Arion is kind of a weird word.
Yeah, let's think about how we might do that. Maybe you'll throw something out. So I mentioned this earlier as well in the chat is, if people are shopping and they want to kind of collaborate and talk through kind of what's going on, what are you thinking? The ATD Central Iowa Facebook discussion group might be a good avenue, at least to begin the discussion and start collecting, if you wanted to create a private group chat or something like that. Or just an email chain to try and solicit information. That would probably be a good place to start. But let's think through, because there's a lot of different ones, and make sure we get the most bang for our buck to try and coordinate how we might do that. So how about, let's do this. If you would be willing, to showcase your company's LMS, maybe even if it's just a separate, a separate kind of TechSig presentation, mini session, something like that, we just kind of schedule on the fly. But if you would be willing to showcase your company's LMS, just shoot either Melissa or me or both of us an email, and we can see what kind of interest there is. If you are interested in seeing other LMSs, I'm happy for SAP Litmus to talk through that too. Just got to see what kind of interest we have first in that. So you can just shoot us an email if that'd be something you'd be interested in. And then on the other side, if you as an LMS administrator or somebody user of your current LMS would be willing to showcase it, also let us know, send us an email, and we can kind of go from there. Does that work?
I like that. Yep.
Sweet.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions, any additional questions for anyone that presented today or for Adam?
I did end up putting that template in there from
Awesome.
Bridge if anybody wanted to see it. I'm not going to share the one for Ames Lab just because I'm like, oh, that's really detailed and almost personal. So I'm like, I should probably hold off on that. But I did share the generic template.
Thank you.
And we are recording today's session as well. So I'll put that out as soon as we get the files downloaded. I'll drop that out on our ATD Central Iowa YouTube channel if you want to refer back to it at some point in the future. We also have last month's that Carol Dawson did on accessibility is also out there right now on our ATD Central Iowa YouTube channel. So go check that out. And then coming up next month, we've got Dan doing a fabulous presentation that you absolutely won't want to miss. Actually, you won't want to miss anything that we have coming up for the rest of the year.
No,
It's just that
awesome
dang
schedule.
good. Yeah, we got a lot of, and Melissa mentioned this earlier, but we have some folks, some national folks coming in. Our Agile presentation in October, and then our podcasting presentation in September are going to be hosted by folks that normally you'd pay $100+ to see that presentation. Technically, in I guess with Dan in July and Brian in August as well. So really cool stuff coming up. So go out and register for those. Make sure you get them on the calendar. We'll be doing everything virtually as well, and we'll probably likely be recording those too.
Yeah, thank you guys all for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool because it's going to be a hot one. Feel free to reach out to Adam or I if you have any questions. And other than that, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.